Ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to Casual Discussion, the show where we talk and try to have fun. I'm your host, Ezelrix, and today we're gonna talk about a subject that has a bit of a polemic to it. As mentioned in my video on the Second Son movie, there are numerous kind of book adaptation to movies. The faithful one to the original medium, the one that divides the fans, the one that changes the story a lot, the one that buries the original medium, the one that are bad but open the door for a potential reboot, and then there are also the bad one, the one that makes you wonder why you spent $8 on a movie ticket even though you would have seen Kingsman instead if you have left the restaurant with your mom 10 minutes earlier. Oh, I'm not kidding, these are the conditions in which I saw The Seventh Son, no wonder I hate this movie. I know that the day I'll die, I'll still regret these $8. But with all the popular book adaptations that have been roaming Hollywood studios for the past few decades, we are left with one question today. Is Ready Player One a good adaptation? Ah, Ready Player One. Once again, one of these movies that divided both the fans, the viewers, and the critics. And I know that at the time of me shooting this video, the book Ready Player 2 has already came out, and don't worry, it will have its own episode someday, but I have to finish it first. So for today, beware the spoilers for both the book Ready Player One and the movie. Also note that today's video is about adaptation, not the movie itself. Some movies are incredible but are really poor adaptation. For example, the Bryan Singer 2000 X-Men is a great movie, but it took a lot of liberty from the source material, and the X-Men are barely recognizable in it. So by now you should have understood that I am a big fan of Ready Player One, but do I think it is a bad adaptation? No, I don't. I think it is a wonderful adaptation. In fact, I think it is one of the best adaptations for the past few years, maybe even the past decade. So if you are here to hear me trash about Ready Player One, you are definitely in the wrong video. First of all, Ready Player One is one of these movies that took an incredible amount of liberties adapting the source material. And note that I'm saying liberties, not treason. I said it by the past and I'm gonna say it again, different doesn't mean good, it doesn't mean bad, it just means different. Unfortunately for a few people, taking liberties while adapting a material into a movie is synonymous of bad. Ah, the infamous team, the book is always better. These people who complain that there was a precise thing in the book that they loved and now they can't see it. Guess what? Yes, you can still see those things. If you are frustrated that you can't see Superman beat up Darkseid after having made an awesome monologue on the burden of being all-powerful in the movies, then just go rewatch the Justice League cartoon. You can still see it. These things still exist, just not in the movie format. Just like if you're frustrated that in Ready Player One the game of Joust with the Lich King was replaced by the race. If you want the game of Joust, go reread the book. If you want the race, go rewatch the movie. I mean, is it that complicated? If you go at Starbucks, are you gonna complain to the cashier that you can't order a Big Mac? Unless your name is Karen. No, you won't do it. You have to accept that the movie gives you a different experience from the book, just like a Starbucks will give you a different culinary experience than a McDonald's. Take notes from other medium. Shining is arguably the best book from Stephen King, something I strongly disagree with, and the best movie by Stanley Kubrick. But the Shining movie takes a lot of liberties adapting the book. These liberties are not bad. In fact, Stephen King hated the Shining movie so much that he made his own Shining miniseries. And guess what? It sucks. Like, ouch. An adaptation has to change things, it is a must. Even some faithful adaptation that rips off the book almost word for word like The Green Mile do changes some things sometimes. Is it that complicated to understand? A movie has to tell with sound and image what a book can tell with words. These are different mediums, there are different codes and different ways to communicate the message the medium tries to communicate. So for Ready Player One, are we in the change category or in the treason category? Definitely the change category. Yes, the story changes a lot, but the principle of the story stays the same. Here's how the contest to win Halliday's egg actually works in the book. Just like in the movie, the Gunters have to find 3 keys to unlock the egg and the $500 billion promised by Halliday. And the first difference we can observe is the fact that the key in the book do open gates. Behind the gates are hidden levels that the player will have to complete to get the clue for the next key. Finding the keys and finding the gates are there to test your detective skills, managing to overcome the difficult riddle clues. Then, to get the key, you will have to be tested on your gaming skills, mostly on early 80s video games. After that, behind the gate, there is a level that will test your cinephile knowledge, where you will have to reenact word for word a classic passage from a classic movie. So, two things. First of all, the movie wouldn't have time to put all of this information in a single feature. Then, whether you prefer the cinephile level from the gate or the gamer level from the keys, well, you have both of those actually in the movie. To win the first key, Wade wins the race, a clear reference to classic racing games. He will even find a clue that will allow him to do so in a cinematic or a cutscene. Then, for the second key, the high five will find it while bursting into the Shining universe, a clear reference to the gate level from the book. And finally, the final key is found while playing a classic Atari game, just like in the book. Granted, in the book this is a different video game, but it is once again a question of artistic choice. These are all minor changes, but the core of the story stays the same. In both medium, Wade starts as an unknown young gunter. He's the first one to find the copper key. Along the way, him and his friends Ash meet Artemis. Nolan Sorrento blows up the stacks. This motivates Wade to find the other keys. He will finally realize he can't do it alone, so he will ask for help of Shoto and Artemis. They will meet in real life. A final battle between the Gunters and the Sixers happen. Wade clears the final level, obtains the egg, and is congratulated by Anorak. Then the avatar of Halliday congratulates Wade and thanks him for playing the game. Of course, even some important parts of the book have been removed, like the part where Wade actually breaks into IOI and hacks their server, something that is roughly replaced by Samantha doing it. And probably the most obvious thing the movie changed is the fact that the pop culture reference in the book are more centered around the 80s, while in the movie we have a lot more of 2000 and even 2010s Easter egg. Except this isn't true. If you want to stick with the 80s, Adventure and The Shining both came out in 1980, while Back to the Future came out in 1985. Then you have references like King Kong, which granted seems based off the Peter Jackson movie, but the first King Kong movie technically came out in 1933. In the first part of the movie, there are Batman's references. Batman was released in 1939. The movie just chose to enlarge the range of pop culture references to touch a larger demographic. Some people might say this is fan service, and for the most part, you wouldn't be totally right, but you wouldn't be totally wrong either. But let me ask you this. What is so bad about fan service? Of course, I'm the first one to complain about fan service. Fan service can ruin a movie, like turning a villain into an anti-hero to sell more movie tickets. But in the case of Ready Player One, this is good fan service. This is fan service that actually contribute to the beauty of the scenario and script, or at least don't impact it. I mean, seriously, is it that hard to understand? Complaining about this kind of fan service is basically throwing a tantrum because you got exactly what you wanted. This is a paradox! And a proof that this isn't totally fan service for the heck of it is the fact that it contributes grandly to the movie. In the setting in which the movie takes place, it has to enlarge. The movie has a larger demographic than the book. Actually, making a movie just for the fans of the original medium is just stupid. The Davinci Code is one of the most sold books of all time at 5 million copies sold worldwide since its publication. Next to it, the Fantastic Four of 2015 made a box office score of $56 million and was considered a flop. Making a movie solely for the fan is bad fan service. It is taking the risk of disappointing 100 million people to please 100,000. Think the book is always better. Bad at math since the 1960s. Also, a big change from the book is the character design of our protagonists. Big changes. Wade, Shoto, Daito, and Artemis are pretty close to their book counterparts. The main difference is that in the book, Shoto isn't 11 years old and he resembles more of a samurai. Daito looks roughly what he looks like in the book, but once again, he's killed in the early chapters. As for Ash, in the book, her avatar is a basic white male treated by this enormous killing machine in the movie. Knowing the fact that H was persecuted through her life because of her sexual orientation and her ethnicity, both of the avatars embodied in both medium makes perfect sense. But the movie version sticks more with her reputation as a badass warrior renowned through the Oasis as one of the best PvP players. As for Shoto being only 11 years old, I thought it was decently funny and it didn't impact the scenario, so I didn't mind. Actually, even though Shoto might be my favorite character from the book, I like this version a lot. Through the adaptation, the personality of both Samantha and Wade change a lot. But knowing the fact that in the book they're a bit annoying, even sometimes becoming unbearable hassles, we definitely win at the change. Granted, if one day they decide to adapt Ready Player 2 in a movie, they will have problem with Daito still being alive and H's appearance. But once again, the director can take creative and artistic liberties and work his way around that. Even though I'm sure that if this movie is ever made, I'm like 90% sure that Daito is dead in the first 30 minutes. With all of that said, do I think Ready Player 1 is the best movie ever? No. Do I think it is the best book adaptation ever? No. But do I think this is a wonderful project carried by somebody who was truly passionate about pop culture and that managed to become not only a great film but a great adaptation? Yes, I do. Even if there are some things from the book I would have loved to have in the movie. Once again, I'm thinking about Daito's death. In the book, when Daito dies, it triggers Shoto's storyline. At this point, Shoto doesn't care about the money, he just wants revenge his deceased brother killed by Nolan Sorrento's men. But other than that, these are mostly details, like for the fact the final battle in the book contained more giant robots. I think I can live without that. Even though the Leopardon from the Japanese Spider-Man punching Mechagodzilla scene from the book would have been the most awesome thing ever put on screen. So there you go guys, before we wrap everything up, I just want to say that I love both Ready Player 1, the movie, and the book. I think that both medium do a wonderful job at world building and they both tell a crazy good story. I don't really have a preference between the two, even though I'd say that I prefer the ending of the movie, because our protagonists do have a much more significant character growing arc. Especially Artemis, who learns how to trust people and become way less of a post-apocalyptic stubborn SJW than her book counterpart. What did you think about the Ready Player 1 movie and book, and what do you expect for the sequels? Tell me in the comments below and subscribe and activate the bell to be notified when a new video comes up. Then you can follow me on Instagram if you want to support my artwork, and if you like what you see, you can purchase all of my pieces at artpal.com, link in the description. Then share this video with all your friends, and as always, thanks for watching.